Shalom and welcome to Parasha Espresso, the weekly fix for spiritual lessons taken from the Parashat. Grab your coffee and let's take a look at the weekly Torah reading. This week we'll be looking at Parashat Hanan, which runs from Deuteronomy chapter 3 verse 23 to chapter 7 verse 11. Enjoy it and don't forget to give us your feedback on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube or via our website.
I loved sports classes at school. In England, where I grew up, we used to play football and dodgeball, tennis, rugby, hockey and cricket. And because I was relatively good at sports, I never had to fear the much dreaded part of each sports class, the team selection. You know, the part where the teacher picks two kids and tells them to pick their teams. They pick all the best kids first, and then, by the end, they just want to pick the kids that won't mess up too badly. Sometimes it was the fat kid who got picked last, or the unpopular one, or perhaps the super intelligent child that just didn't know how to hold a tennis racket. I'm not sure what memories that scene evokes for you. Maybe you were always the one chosen by the teacher to be the captain, or maybe you were the uncoordinated, unsporty kid who always got picked last. Wherever you were in the lineup, I'm sure you'll agree with me that it's special to be picked first, to feel that you have some value, some importance. After all, you were chosen before any of the other kids. We pick up with Moses where we left him last week, doing his recap of a 40-year wilderness journey. Except this time, it's with commentary. It's a pivotal moment too, as Moses explains to the new generation who this God is and why on earth he has chosen us Jewish people. He tells them about the agreement or covenant that God has made with us and lists out the terms and conditions again. As he starts speaking to them about this God that he's come to know, it's very clear that Moshe Rabbeinu wants them to grasp one thing. This God is special. He's unique. There's none like him. That's why there's no point trying to make a sculpture or paint a picture of him, because he is the incomparable God. That's also why we say the Shema, which we found in this week's portion, because we affirm that God is our one and only. And yet, just as the Shema doesn't stop with God, but moves on to the Ve'ahavta, which talks about us, so Moses continues and starts talking to us about why God chose us. After all, why would he? As Moses explains, we weren't the most numerous people on the earth, nor could we claim to always get everything right. In other words, we weren't the equivalent of the sporty kid at school who always got picked first. No, God tells us that he chose us out of love, and because of his promise to Avraham Avinu. But chosen for what? After all, when we were picked for the sports team at school, it was in order to play the sport and to win the games. What does it mean when God says he chose us? Were we to be a museum piece, chosen and put on a shelf because we were special? No. He had a purpose for us. We were supposed to be his representatives to the rest of the peoples of the world, to tell them about this God. Just as players are chosen to represent their teams, so we were chosen to represent our God. And yet throughout the course of our history, we haven't represented God accurately. Throughout the Tanakh, we read of the failings of our people, or how we constantly chose other gods and ultimately failed to be the blessing to the rest of the world that God chose us to be. Just as he explained to Avraham way back in Bereshit. But now let's look at us today. I hope I haven't awakened any deep-lying feelings of trauma through talking about school sports teams. But it is true that something as simple as not being picked for a team can leave us with emotional scars, because it has to do with something so basic and so fundamental to being human, the need to be chosen. We want to be special. We crave affection and acceptance, recognition and love. After all, isn't that one of the reasons we use Instagram and Snapchat? If we're not chosen, we feel worthless and excluded. And so we all bear the scars of times in our lives where we were rejected, when we weren't chosen. But the most amazing thing is that we are chosen. We are loved and accepted by the only one who really matters. He thinks we are so special and so worth choosing that he sent the Messiah to die instead of us so that we could be rescued, so that he could choose us. But he also wants us to enter into personal relationship with him. And because he is a gentleman, so to speak, he leaves the choice to us. God also wants to be chosen. And in fact, later on in the book of Devarim, he actually commands us to make the right choice and to choose him. He chose us, and now we are given the chance to choose him. If we do, we're entering into a relationship with true love, joy, acceptance, freedom, and purpose. All thanks to the Messiah choosing to die in our place so that we could be reunited with a God who chose us. But there's one more piece to this story. While we as a people may have failed at the purpose for which we were chosen, the Messiah certainly hasn't failed. Thanks to him, the chance to enter into a life-giving relationship with God isn't only for us Jewish people. No, this blessing has reached to the ends of the earth, with people from every nation believing in the Jewish Messiah and worshipping the God of Israel. Through Messiah Yeshua, we have been a blessing to the rest of the world. We have fulfilled our task, all thanks to him. If we're honest, rejection is something that we all deal with. It might start with a sports team, but ultimately we all find ourselves being rejected from jobs, relationships, opportunities. How good is it then to know that we are chosen, that we are special, that we are loved, all thanks to the Messiah? Regardless of your situation today, if you trust the Messiah Yeshua, you choose to enter into a relationship where you are loved, you are valued, and you are cared for. But there is a choice to make, and no one else can do that for you. Will you choose Yeshua? We would love to hear from you how you've decided.
That's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed our Parasha Espresso. Please don't forget to subscribe to make sure you get the latest episodes. We'd love to hear from you, so please get in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or via our website at judenfürjesus.de.